The Chevy Silverado is a full-size pickup truck that has more than enough capability for most drivers. But here's the thing, there is a dizzying amount of options on this thing. You can choose from your engine, different bed sizes, different cab sizes, and the competition is so fierce, it's just But it's okay. We're gonna make sense of it all and let you know if a used Silverado is the right vehicle for you. After all,
Edmunds drives, tests, and rates hundreds of cars each year. As trusted experts, we've teamed up with CarMax to help you make the best car buying decision.
the Chevy Silverado is a full-size pickup truck, and you see full-size trucks everywhere because they are the #1 and 2 best-selling vehicles in the United States. They're a step up in size and capability from the uber-popular midsize Ford Ranger and Toyota Tacoma. And the Silverado goes head-to-head with some real heavyweight competition, like the Ford F-150, aka the best-selling vehicle in the United States. You've also got the super comfortable Ram 1500 and the Toyota Tundra, which has a reputation for durability. Now, this is a 4th-generation Silverado that started back in 2019, but today we're going to be talking about 2022 and newer models because that's when Chevrolet put out a big refresh. But those broad strokes really do apply it to all trucks in the 4th generation. But keep in mind that used pickup trucks can be found with a bunch of different crazy configurations, so you need to figure out the 3 things that matter most to you. And that's the engine size, the size of the cab, and the length of the bed. Of these, probably the most important consideration is the engine. The most common one you'll find on the used market will be a 5.3-liter V8, but if price is a top priority, look for one of the turbocharged 4-cylinders. They typically cost a little less, and they'll save you a little bit more at the pump. But if you need max towing capability, there is an available monster V8 like what we have here today, or a diesel that boasts the same towing stats with the added bonus of efficiency. There's no hybrid option available, and we'll get into a little more details about these engines later. There are also 3 bed lengths available, ranging from the super common 5.5-foot bed all the way to a whopping 8-footer. As for cab sizes, well, there's the 4-door crew cab like this, a little bit smaller double cab, and the 2-door regular cab. But unless this is strictly for the job site, we say go with the crew cab to be workday and weekend friendly. As you'll see, a used Silverado matches up pretty closely to the competition on a lot of things, but one place it does beat them: price. On average, a used Chevy Silverado is one of the least expensive full-size pickups you can buy, but part of that is because Ram offers a ton of luxury options that can really push its price up. Bottom line, it's really going to come down to the engine and the equipment on the specific model you're looking for. So buying a used truck is a great way to save a little bit of money, but what about reliability, huh? Now for this, we use RepairPal, which is an independent reliability tracker, and their data puts the Silverado in 5th out of 7th place. But keep in mind that annual repair costs are pretty similar across the board, and all of the other trucks that rank higher, well, they all have the same 3.5 out of 5-star rating. So even though the Silverado is sitting at 5th place, it's pretty much a wash. Crash test scores are good for the Silverado. It gets a 5-star rating from NHTSA. And in 2022, when the Silverado was new, it received mostly good scores in the IIHS's actual crash tests. But those tests have all been updated over time, and in today's test, the Silverado scores are acceptable at best. If crash test scores are a major concern for you, the other full-size trucks score better. All right, those are some of your basic options. Now let's go over reasons why you might pick or pass. Now, I mentioned earlier that there are 4 different engine options here in the Silverado, and they're all pretty powerful, but let's put a number to that. Even the base engine in the least expensive Silverado can tow 9,000 pounds, and that's enough for a large boat or a 20 to 30-foot trailer. The maximum towing you'll get on the Silverado from the diesel or the Monster V8 engines are just shy of the max that you'd get with a properly equipped Ford F-150. Yeah, you'll get bragging rights in the Ford, but unless you're the small percentage that need the absolute max towing before going up in class to the heavy-duty trucks, we'd say that these will be more than enough for hauling most horse trailers and most 5th-wheel travel trailers. But we can't forget about the defining feature of a pickup truck, and that is the bed. Now, Edmunds editors really loved overall how wide this bed is and how tall the sides are. Combined, that gives you just a little bit more room than the competition. Plus, you've got a ton of tie-downs for all of your precious cargo. You can also find Silverados equipped with multifunction tailgates that can help on job sites or with weekend hauls, but they're typically only found on upper trims. Lastly, payload, or the amount of stuff that you can haul in the back, is really good too, at more than 2,000 pounds. In Edmunds testing, the tech stood out in two ways, and that is with driver's aids and smartphone integration. So let's start with that little computer in your pocket. The Silverado comes standard with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and our editors found it to be almost seamless to connect to the truck. You can also plug your phone into one of the USB ports up here if you prefer to go wired. And if you're connected wirelessly but still want to charge your phone, there's this little wireless charging pad up here that does its job without turning your phone into a little stove. But we always recommend plugging it in for max charging speeds. Now, this 13.4-inch screen is standard on the mid-LT trim and above. And in Edmunds testing, we found that it works really great. And I mean, come on, it looks pretty good. Now, lower trims get a 7-inch screen, which works just fine, but it doesn't feel quite as modern as the bigger screens that you get in more modern vehicles. However, I mean, we have found that bigger isn't always better. I mean, you can get bigger screens in the F-150 and the Ram 1500, but this size works just fine. Okay, so that's all the smartphone stuff, but what about the driver's aids? Well, the good news here is that they are great. In Edmunds testing, we found that the adaptive cruise control does a really good job at keeping the truck at a set distance to a vehicle in front. And you can also get Super Cruise, which is GM's hands-free driving assistant. It's one of the best that we have tested. So, the bad news? Well, Chevy restricts a lot of its driver's aids to the higher trims. Adaptive Cruise Control is part of an available package and only comes standard on the high country trim. And the same thing goes for Super Cruise, the system that allows hands-free driving on the highways. That has to be added to a high country Silverado. Edmunds editors raved about Super Cruise during their testing, and it can even be used while towing. So, if long-haul towing is a common part of your life, and if it's in your budget, we definitely think Super Cruise is worth a look. So maybe you live in a magical place where the temperature always stays between 65 and 75 degrees and there's no humidity. Congratulations, good for you. This section is not for you. For the rest of us, we need a truck that's going to be able to keep us cool on hot days and warm us up when the snow starts flying. And thankfully, this Silverado is great at doing both. The Silverado is available with both cooled and heated seats, with cooled seats coming standard on the LTZ and higher trims. Now, Edmunds testing found that both of these features worked great because some heated and cooled seats only work on the cushion, which is fine, but it's not as good as the Silverado's method. Heating and cooling both the cushion and the seat back. It is awesome. And during Edmunds testing, we found that the air conditioning and heating functions really get going quickly, and they do a great job at keeping the truck comfortable. Remote start is also available on the Silverado, so you can get your truck to the right temperature before you even walk out your front door. Now, it might sound like I'm saying that the Silverado is a super comfortable truck. Unfortunately, now, in our Edmunds test loop, editors found that the Silverado lets you down when it comes to comfort in two ways. And the first way is how it drives over rough roads. Now, if you haven't driven a truck lately, you're probably thinking like, well, yeah, I mean, it's a truck. It drives like a truck, right? Not so much anymore. See, trucks like the Ram 1500 are actually very comfortable thanks to their suspension design. And out of all the trucks in the class, the Silverado just feels the truckiest when it comes to like driving over potholes or over speed bumps or taking it out on a dirt road. You see, trucks today have really evolved to become more family friendly, and the Silverado just really lets you down when it comes to that aspect. And that second comfort bummer, you guys, it's all about the seats. Edmunds editors pointed out the flatness and the firmness of the front and the rear cushions, noting that you'll start to feel fatigued if you spend a long time in any of them. Believe me, that is the last thing you'll want to experience on the return trip from the lake house. But if there's any good news here, it's how roomy the truck is. You won't want for headroom or legroom no matter where you are seated in the truck, but you just might wish that where you were sitting had a little more padding. So what do you think? Does a used Silverado with that affordable used price, powerful engine, and great tech make sense for you and your lifestyle? Or does that uncomfortable ride and so-so seats mean that there's a better option out there for you? Let us know in the comments, and we'll talk to you next time.